Oh hey, so I'm gonna do the Goth Tag because I can. I have the questions written in my sketchbook right here, so if you see me looking down, that's why. So let's start this. Question number one, how long have you been goth? Would say, oh fuck, how old was I? I think I was like 14, 13, 14 was when I started like wearing black and stuff, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think 14, 15, yeah, 14, 14, 13 sounds right for me. Um, yeah, I just never really, like, I felt uncomfortable wearing, like, colors and stuff. So I'd always wear, like, really dark colors, and then eventually just kind of started wearing black all the time. Um, yeah, number two, how were you introduced to goth? Um, I think it was like, I don't know, it was just like, it was a very prominent thing. Like, I grew up in the 90s. I started high school in, I think, 2002, 2003 or something like that. So they were very, like, much around. Where I went to school, there was a lot of, like, punk kids and stuff like that. So, like, it was always, like, around, so I'd always see it everywhere. Plus, there's, like, a lot of, like, TV kind of shit, I guess. Um, I just remember watching, like really old, like, movies with, like, vampires and shit and be like, ooh, they're pretty. I wish I could dress like that. And they're wearing, like, these big bustle skirts and, like, they're all black and stuff. I remember wanting to dress like that and stuff. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, I'd say, like, introduced, I didn't really have anyone, like, introduce me to goth stuff. Um, like, growing up in the 90s, like, we got, like, the internet and, like, television and stuff like that. It was just, that kind of stuff was just prominent, I guess, for me. So, like, I'd seen it somewhere, and I was just like, oh, that's cool, whatever. Number three, what gothic subgenre would you put yourself in? Um, my boyfriend's called me trad a couple times. Um, I do have a lot of other kind of influence stuff that I wear. Um, I'd say death rock to a certain extent, not really. Um, there's some Victorian kind of thing. I have a lot of lace stuff, but I wouldn't say full blown Victorian or anything like that. Um, and like I do have cybergoth elements in like my everyday kind of thing. Like I do wear synthetic dreads and stuff, as you see in my videos and my tutorials. So there's that too. I wouldn't really classify myself in any kind of subgenre. I would just say like I'm just a goth that's into things. I like things. I like other things. I don't just like black things. I like other things too. You know. So like if anything, I do like traditional stuff, like like going back to like the 80s, back when it was like more influenced with punk and not so much of the death rock kind of deal. Like I really like that, and like a lot of the trad stuff that's showing up now. Um, I don't know. It's a lot of that stuff, I guess, if that makes sense. But like I wouldn't really throw myself in any kind of subgenre. It's just kind of like I'm a G, man. Number four, what do you believe to be the... Oh, wow, Jesse, you need to learn how to write properly. The basis of the Gothic subculture. So, I don't know, like for me, when it comes to goth, I find it's more like I'm gonna sound like a huge, like, fucking, elitist douchebag, but like for me it's more about like music and stuff like that. Like yeah, it has something to do with like the fashion and stuff like that, but it's more music based to me. Like there's a lot of bands that I listen to that are really like old school goth, and then there's a lot of like new goth music that I listen to, but like that's not all the music I listen to. Like I have it's very vast um, spectrum of music that I like. But like when it comes to like what goth is and what the basis of it is, it yes, it's the music, but it's also there's so many other things that is goth and that is like that makes goth, you know what I mean? Like I mean like it's about like appreciating the darker things, having more like fuck, I'm gonna sound like a twat. But like, you know, it's more of like darker interests, like having a certain appreciation for like death and the macabre kind of thing, and you know, it's not just all about one thing. It's many things, you know. 5. What do you dislike about goth? I think it's more about like the new, I say new, the new elitists that are popping up, like the ones that are just like, oh, you're not goth because of this reason or whatever. I think it's more like that. I find them very like I don't really participate in the whole goth thing on YouTube, mostly because I just don't care. Like I love it and stuff, and I want to like get to know these kind of people and stuff like that. Like, you know, I have a lot of like goth YouTubers that I watch and stuff, you know, stuff and things. But like when it comes down to it, like fuck, like there's so much inter-genre hate and like subculture hate that is just like ridiculous. I mean, like there's people that are goth that don't dress goth at all. I have friends that are goth that don't dress goth at all. I'm a goth. I don't dress goth every fucking day. Like I have a job. I have to work to make money. So obviously I can't like go to work in like a full face of like white and black and shit like that. Like I just can't, you know? Like plus like I'm at that age where like technically like I'm too old to be goth or something like that, you know what I mean? Like I'm 24, I'm going to be 25 soon. And like this is going to bridge on to like the next question about like what my parents think. They used to think that it was like a phase or something like that. Like I had my aunt, she like fucking I really don't want to get into this, but like she was very like verbally abusive to the point where like she'd just harass my style, and then like all this other shit piled on top of it, and like she just was like, oh, it's just a phase, like you'll grow out of it. And I'm just like, I'm fucking 24 and it's still like I'm still the same, you know. I've like been like this since high school. Nothing really changes for me. Well, it changes but subtly, you know. And like my mom doesn't really care that I dress in black and stuff. To her, it's more of a way for me to keep people away, you know? Like, that sounds really weird. But, like, I like being alone. I like being by myself. So, like, she thinks that it's a way for me to just, like, keep people away from me. But, like, for me, it's just, like, this is how I dress. This is what I like. Like, just fucking get used to it. But when it comes to my father, he likes to make fun of me a lot. Like, he tries to do it out of fun now, but, like, I remember when my first, like, goth-related jewelry item that I bought was a bondage-style bracelet. And, like, I remember the first day I fucking wore it, my dad came up to me, he flicked it and was like, what, are you into bondage now? And, like, he'd had, like, no, like, there's no filter of, like, oh, well, Jessie's just, like, you know, trying to express herself in some way, but, like, it was just, like, fucking, like, so judgmental and so hateful that I was like, fuck you, like, what the fuck? And, oh, man. And, like, going back to, like, what I dislike about goth is that, like, there's no hierarchy at all when it comes to this kind of subculture. I mean, it's all you in your head, and like nobody can tell you otherwise of who or what you are but yourself. Like I don't really like the only other friend that I have that is goth, like we don't really hang out that often, but like she never really like we never like fucking argued with each other about like, oh, you're baby bad or some shit like that, you know? Like there was never like that shit that seems to be thrown around a lot like on the internet. But like I don't really have goth friends outside of YouTube. Like I have friends that are really into punk and really into like goth music and stuff, but like they're not goths per se. Like, you know, not to the extent that like of how I dress or something, you know. It's hard to explain how I dress, blah blah. Like, you know, how like it's more prominent visually for me as a goth than it is for like my other friends that are goths, because like they don't dress up. Does that make sense? Man, this is long-winded, I'm sorry. 7, eyebrows or no eyebrows? I've been drawing my eyebrows on for like the better part of a decade. And it was only until like when I turned 24, I felt old and I wanted like, you always hear that like, oh, thicker brows make you look younger and stuff. So I was just like, well, if I grow my eyebrows back, maybe I'll look younger. So like I've had eyebrows for a couple months and I just, oh fuck, I hate it so much. Like I think like in the new year I'm gonna start shaving my eyebrows again. But like, yeah, I don't know, when it comes to like shaving your eyebrows off or having eyebrows, like it's up to you. Like you should never have anybody like tell you otherwise. Like it's all up to you, man. Like fuck. Number 8. What is your favorite band? I'm sure that this refers to like goth bands, right? Bauhaus. Hands down. Bauhaus and Alien Sex Fiend. I've been really getting into them lately. But like, yeah, those two seem to be my favorite at this point. I used to really love The Cure, like obsessed with The Cure. But like, I've like shifted a little bit. But like, yeah, those are the bands that I favor. Number 9, what is your opinion on Marilyn Manson? When it comes to Marilyn Manson, I have read his book. It was pretty good, but he was pretty messed up from like what I've read about him. But he's more of like a shock rocker from what I've heard on the internet and seen in like blogs and stuff like that. But like when it comes to Marilyn Manson, I don't really care. Like I'm sure that like he got a lot of people into goth back in like the early 90s and stuff. But like there's a whole can of worms there that like a lot of people, especially like elitists, are like, oh, Marilyn Manson's not goth, blah blah blah. Well, like he's certainly turned a lot of goths into goth, you know? If that makes any sense. Number 10. What were your baby bat days like? When it comes to me as a baby bat, at first I was like, the fuck is that? Because like I don't really remember anything like that, I guess. But I think it was more of like my transition phase from like being a tomboy when I was a little kid. Like when I was in elementary school, I was straight up tomboy. I wore blue jeans and t-shirts all the time. And it wasn't until I was in high school that I actually started like dressing like a girl. But like yeah, it was just kind of like, it was like that, I guess, because like I transitioned from like being a tomboy into this like weird like punk hybrid thing, and then it slowly started tapering to this goth thing at the end. And I found that like at first I was like into like different kind of like punk styles. Like I wore chokers every day in high school, like every single day. Like I didn't care like what I was wearing, I'd wear one. And oh man, my makeup back then was so horrible. I mean, it can get pretty dodgy sometimes now, but like back then, like I had no concept of like, oh, eyeshadow primer, oh, foundation, dur. I had like no concept of that, so like I just had like really shitty like eyeliner smudged everywhere kind of thing, and like waterproof mascara. That was one thing that's changed a lot. Like back when I was like a baby bat, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, like I used to wear like just regular mascara that wasn't waterproof, and like it would get everywhere, like fucking everywhere, and I just looked like a hot mess. And like when I started transitioning more into like my gothiness, like everything just started getting better. I started dressing a little bit better and stuff. I just looked like more put together, I guess, as opposed to like looking like a baby bat, like a teenage kid that had no idea what the fuck they were doing, you know? Like it's all personal growth and style. I mean, like I remember my mom told me in the 80s, back in the 80s, there's this trend when she was in high school where they'd wear like skirts, like pleated kind of skirts with like blue jeans. Like that's not exactly an attractive style, but it happened and she did it. So it's like it's more of like a personal style growth that happens. I mean, like there's things that you like back then, and then there's things that you like now, and you're just like, oh my god, that was totally a baby bat back then, brr. But like now you're just like, you know, you're growing. You're growing. You're expanding your knowledge and your wardrobe, and everything is changing, and you look more put together. I mean, there's some people that look like a hot mess, but then there's some that actually look, you know, put together and decent. Yeah. Fuck my life. So that's the Goth Tag. I hope I answered the questions to your liking. I might write about this on my blog, I think, just to get more like in depth with it, just to start thinking about it, because like thinking about it now, when it comes to like the parent thing, like that kind of hits a little hard for me. It's the same with like the dislikes kind of thing as well. But yeah, I think I do have pictures back when I was a baby bat. I should find them. But I don't really like using that term, baby bat, because it's kind of weird. It's just weird. I've heard gothling before. That kind of sounds hilarious to me. But yeah, so that was the Goth Tag. I hope you liked it. Sorry that I'm kind of sick, if you can't tell by my monotone voice. I will be posting a tutorial soon. The only reason I haven't is because I can't fucking find my camera that I use to record tutorials with. Like I'm recording on my Mac right now, but I can't for the fucking life of me find my goddamn camera. It's somewhere, like fucking somewhere. But trust me, there will be a tutorial. I'm not gonna promise a day or anything because we all fucking know that that's not gonna work for me. As the people on my Facebook page know, that doesn't work for me. But yeah, thank you for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. Hopefully I have time to edit this. Other than that, that's it.